All right. Good morning, maybe afternoon to everyone. Thank you for joining us for a Green Sports Alliance webinar. We know it was a quick turnaround, but the Super Bowl is right around the corner. I'm so excited to talk trash with our Super Bowl contenders, Lumen Field and Gillette Stadium. Before we dive in, the 2026 Green Sports Alliance Summit is May 5th through the 7th. We're about 90 days out in Cleveland, Ohio. We'll be at the Huntington Convention Center. Our schedule so far is going to be released in just a few days. So if you've already bought your ticket from the Hoover app, you can start to browse around. You can start chatting with other event goers. You can create meetup events and much more. You have about 1 month left for supporter pricing before it goes up to full price. So get your tickets now. Every year at the Green Sports Alliance Summit, we present awards. We award our members in categories of energy, waste, and water based on improvements that you've made against yourself from last year. So we're not comparing you to other folks. We're looking at the data from last year and if you've improved a certain percentage against yourself. So you have until March 3rd to submit and get recognized as an awardee on our stage. And if you're interested, you can go ahead and scan this QR code now. I'm gonna wait for anyone to get out their phones. There's a lot of QR codes in here if you want to keep it open. And lastly, if you are looking for some hands-on work experience, this can be anyone. Oftentimes we get students, but a lot of times we get folks just looking for maybe a career change. Um, you can scan the QR code to apply to be a volunteer. This comes with a free summit ticket, some great experience, and a chance to meet some legends who have worked in the green sports space for a very long time. A quick reminder, if you have any questions, you can just type them in the chat. We can see them and we will answer them either towards the end or maybe as they come up. Speaking of Green Sports Alliance legends, I'd like to introduce you to Christy Briggs from Lumen Field and Dena Ciampa from Gillette Stadium. And I'm going to pass it to Christy. Go ahead, Christy.
Doing a little switch here, and we're going to. All right. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
All right.
We can.
Okay. I'm first going to start out with just doing some highlights on Levi Stadium and some of the things that they do and some of the things that the host, because they are our host site for Super Bowl this year. So this year they launched reusable cups. They're doing it in 2 club areas. And I talked with Cameron from their team yesterday. And they will be doing that during the Super Bowl as well. So they will have 2 clubs that have the reusable cups. They've been seeing about an 80% return rate, and they're hoping that next year they get to increase that number. They also do 4 streams on site where they compost, recycle, cardboard, and landfill. So those 4 streams go separately off site. And then this was the coolest thing that he told me about their rooftop gardens, and half of it is pollinators and half of it is vegetables that they grow that the team at Levy uses in their catering department. And the other thing that this rooftop garden does is that it helps offset sun exposure, which reduces the use of their HVAC system. So there's just a few facts to throw out there about the host site as we head to San Francisco to play the Super Bowl. So I'm going to start out with my why we kind of threw this webinar together to come chat with you about what we're doing at Lumen Field and Gillette. It's all about connecting. So this was our Thursday night game where we had some folks come out to see our waste sorting process and our team that does that from Copia Resources from all over the league and our friends in the NBA. There's some quotes here. None of us is as smart as all of us. Tell me and I forget. Teach me, I may remember. Involve me and I learn. And if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And I will say that Green Sports Alliance and people throughout this industry are how I'm sitting here and Katie is introducing me as a legend. Um, 8, 9 years ago, I had sustainability added to my portfolio. I was a sports girl who didn't know a lot about sustainability, and I was asked to take a program that was actually really good and keep it going. And I didn't know what I was doing, and through a lot of people throughout this industry, that if I took the time to name all of them, we'd be here all day. They helped me grow. And so this just taking the Super Bowl and taking some time with Dena, who I've spent time with and learned from, and for us to be able to share with you the things that we're doing is just an opportunity for us all to grow and to take things to the next level in our industry because it's so unique. And we could go and take all the sustainability classes, but what we do in our facilities is so different than going to an office building or going to a shopping mall. And so we need each other. And so that's the why in for me of why this is so important to share what we're doing. So Lumen Field, this year we launched a new program that we'd been working on for several years with a committee from across all sections of our work groups to really define what sustainability was. Like I said, we've had a program since basically the beginning of Green Sports Alliance and before. But we really wanted to hone in on what does that mean and where do we want to go. So we have two pillars: go the extra yard, which is anything we do outside our building to enhance our community, to build on the things that we do within our building. And the drive to zero is all those things we do in our building to try to hit zero, whether that's waste, energy, water, and all of those areas. So this year we launched that program. And so, since we're talking Super Bowl, Dean and I talked. We are really going to lean in to the football analogies, and we're going to give you our four downs of our year. So I'm going to start with our first down. Our first down this year was hitting our True Zero certification at the gold level. This was something we were really striving for. We've had 90% diversion in the 19 or 1900s. The 1900s. No. 2016, 2017, those years. But we hit a little snag and it took some time to figure out what was causing the decline. And through that, we started to push toward getting true certification and getting back up in the 90s. And some of those things we found were just the increase in event loads and the types of things that were coming in our building and all of these different things. And so this year we did get our certification. We had a 93% diversion rate. And some of the things we did to get there was we brought on a dedicated team to do our waste sorting. So we brought on Copia Resources, and that's all they do for us in our building is sort our waste and handle our waste hauling. This was so key. Our housekeeping team had been doing a great job, but their main priority was keeping our building clean and keeping the front of house. And when we got to these back-to-back events, there was no way they were doing those back-to-back events, cleaning the building and getting all the waste sorted. So by having a dedicated team, they own that process, and we have seen some great efficiencies in that and in great returns. We also brought in technology in our restrooms with Colo that helps our teams know when they need to change paper towels, toilet paper. And so we weren't wasting between events by being over prepared and taking out half rolls. I can thank Dena for introducing us to this process. Okay. Our second down is really in our go the extra yard area. We really wanted to get into our community because there's something about all the things we do in our building. If our fans are changing their behavior, if our fans are doing things, that makes such a bigger impact than all the drive to zero that we do. And if we, there's only so much that we can do in our buildings with the 65, 68, 69,000 people that come through our doors, that we need to do something beyond our doors. So this year we invested in Puget Sound Restoration Fund, and with that, we helped restore kelp forests in our backyard. Literally, if I go to our upper deck and look off into the Puget Sound, I can see one of the kelp forests. I can't see it because it's underwater, but I can see the area where this kelp forest is being restored. And this it's the trees of the sea. And so it's very similar to planting trees, and yet it's unique to the Puget Sound, and I love it. We also had them come out to our green game, and along with other local sustainability type community groups, they talked with our fans, they interacted, they got exposure. And then we did a beach cleanup with them in one of our local areas. It was very interesting to do that beach cleanup because we did a significant amount of waste picked up. And that space had actually been cleaned just a week before by another group. So it showed how much need there is for us to just look around us and pick up even as we go. And so this was a great, and it will be an ongoing partnership with them. We're going to be doing some things within this new year. There is ways for our community to be able to get involved and learn how to kelp garden. And very excited for bringing more things with Puget Sound Restoration Fund to our teams. Our third down was our waste hauling efficiency. Like I said, in our first down, we brought on a dedicated team with Copia Resources. And one of the things they took over was scheduling our waste hauling because they knew when our waste bins were going to get full based on their sorting. I had known that we were being inefficient. I just didn't have all the pieces to make us more efficient. I could see that we were hauling sometimes with half a ton, sometimes with 5 to 7 tons in our compactor, and I knew that that wasn't the best way for us to move forward. So I dug into, we've been a whole year now with them, and although our total cost went up, you can see on the screen, it went up 16.6%. Our ton, our weighted per ton went down 17%. So really way more efficient in the way that we were hauling our waste. That weighted cost is across our three different types of hauling: landfill, recycling, and composting, to kind of get that aggregated because it's really hard to bring it all together to give our finance team a really clear picture because of course the first thing they see is the total cost, but with events loads different and different types of we had different types of events that brought in more waste than they'd had the year before, and different things we had more waste. The total weight, sorry, lost my train of thought. But I'll go back to that weighted average. The 263 per ton includes both the haul fee and our tipping fee, which is where we really saw the savings because we have the haul fee no matter how much goes. And that's where I knew we'd find the efficiencies. So that was a huge win. And when I was able to share this, and if you'd like to dig into more numbers, this is my plug for Summit because we will have a breakout where we look at some of these numbers and talk about how you do this. because super important that sustainability can be revenue positive, not negative. And our fourth down. And with the fourth down, we want to share the things that we are looking to do next year or in the future. So for us, this in this coming year, we're looking to start site separating our recycling. So on site, separating our cardboard, our plastic, and our aluminum and bundling it. Right now, our recycling accounts for 47.5% of our total weight. Um, that's a lot of our waste stream. That's this last year, that was 434 tons. There is about an 8 to 10% contamination. So 8 to 10% above that would be recycled, but because we use a single stream recycling, it goes, and that's just the nature of the single stream. There's that contamination. Sometimes it's up to 12%. And so by separating on site, we'll reduce that, increase our recycling, increase our diversion, and again, back to that revenue stream. This will become a revenue stream because we will be able to either sell it directly and or have a rebate on our hauling. And so this is our goal for this coming year is to do on-site separating to really do several things. Push that drive to zero and also bring in that revenue stream. So those are my pieces, and I am going to stop sharing and send it over to Dena.
Thanks, Christy. All right, let me get situated here. Perfect. All right, everybody see that okay? Awesome. All right. So before I dive into all of the first, second, and third, and looking into the future, the fourth down for Gillette Stadium, kind of wanted to give a shout out to Green Sports Alliance and all the connections, as Christy kind of alluded to in the beginning. Very collaborative environment, and appreciated Christy and her team showing us around their stadium at that Thursday night football game back in December, seeing all the operations there. It really is a team effort to get all of these projects up and going and being able to share findings and lessons learned in our unique environment here. So 2025, quick highlights from Gillette Stadium. We celebrated Green Sports Day and Earth Day in 2025. Enjoyed the Green Sports Alliance Summit in Miami, and we had the honor and privilege of hosting the GSA one-day symposium this past November, as well as partnering with the foundation and Project Green Schools to host a sort of career day for high school students at Gillette Stadium as well. And then the day before, that day that we had both of those events at the stadium, we did a local community cleanup in Foxborough, where the stadium is located, with a group called Keep Massachusetts Beautiful. So it was just a great kind of busy couple days, but a really great way to get connected with some high school students and professionals from GSA and local vendors, and really talk about the playbooks. And yeah, it was a great success, and really glad that we were able to do that. And then to talk about the four downs that I'm going to be chatting about today. This past year, we've really done a lot with integrating more into the sustainability side of things into the event day operations here at the stadium. So we've been implementing waste sorting this year, really targeting food waste, and I'll speak about compost and food donations specifically. And we've also been targeting all of those hard to recycle items, those items that, you know, it's not food, it's not paper, cardboard, bottled water, but all those other things, those operational facilities, equipment that we need to deal with. And then talk about a little bit more about procurement at the end as well. So first for waste sorting, we originally did our first stadium-wide waste audit back in 2023. And then coming out of the audit and into 2024 and into 2025, we started, diving into the findings from the waste audit and seeing how we can make changes and make things happen to improve our diversion and overall operations when it comes to managing waste, especially on event day. But this year, essentially after coming back from the Green Sports Alliance Summit, actually, we, had a renewed sense of all of the initiatives that other stadiums were pursuing, and we really wanted to tackle waste sorting. We said, we've done a lot of research and talked about implementing things, started implementing things, but we really wanted to dive straight in. So we did. We went dumpster diving to start, and then we scaled it up from there. We went through all the recycling at one of the concerts that we had, and then we started the full stadium sorts for all of the ticketed events that we had in the stadium. So whether it was football game, concerts, soccer, we started sorting everything. We did a mix of manual sorting, and AI sorting technologies as well, tested that out at multiple events throughout the season, and started scaling up our operations and getting more efficient as things went along. For example, one of the things we figured out was we already did a seat pick. So after the game ends, whether, concert, soccer, football, whatever it might be that we're hosting at the stadium, the staff already goes around and separately picks up trash versus recycle. So instead of those same bags coming down and being resorted once they got to the waste sort area, we started having those bags be different colors. So we knew visually when they were coming down, they were already set, they're ready to go right into the compactors. And because we were doing the waste sorting at every single event, we were able to have lots of findings to show the team, the operations team, the custodial team, facilities, food and beverage team. So, whether that be through pictures, different weights, looking at different products that we saw that ended up down in the waste sort area, we were able to incorporate that into our operational recap reports and be able to share out and discuss findings. If something wasn't so good, we could talk about it and address it before the next game. The waste sorting operations also requires a lot of coordination with the waste hauler, especially when you're sorting until 3, 4 a.m. sometimes, and then the compactors have to get picked up and swapped and emptied and returned before 8 a.m. because we're sorting again at 8:30. And then just the overall logistics of prepping the space, cleaning up the space, coordinating all the supplies, all the logistics that go into it. This graphic here that you can kind of see on the screen is just a sort of lay of the land of our waste sort area. We currently sort outside, right next to our cardboard compactor on the left and single stream mixed recycling compactor in the middle there. And then this area here where it says sort is where we currently have a tent. And then we have our compost bins off to the left here. And then our trash compactor is in the right corner up top here next to our trash chute that connects to the 100 level. So it's sort of everything is close together, but they're not all in one space. So there's some back and forth coordination and tracking, which has been sorted, which has not been sorted yet, logistics that we've had to iron out over the past couple of months. But just a quick overview there of the layout that we're dealing with here at the stadium. All right, and sort of related to the first down, our second down is focused on food waste, specifically compost and food donations. So to back up for a moment, we do have a food grinder on site. We've had it since 2018, I believe. So majority of our food scraps will go into the food grinder, get ground down. It becomes a slurry, gets sent off-site, goes to an anaerobic digester, and becomes electricity and fertilizer off-site. The two things that we've addressed in 2025 is implementing these compost bins, which you can see an example of some of the bins in the picture here. And food donations. So for compost bins, we saw a need to supplement with the food grinder to make it a little bit more efficient. So we could alleviate some stress off of the food grinder itself because we only have one for the whole stadium. And we saw that we could be a little bit more little bit more efficient in deploying these bins around the stadium and in specific areas so that everything wasn't getting piled up at the food grinder. So we started working with a compost company back in May. We started with 10 bins. We have a mix of 35-gallon and 48-gallon bins, and started with a couple bins and then realized, we need some more. So we scaled it up to 20 and kind of kept adding more and more until I think we have like 100 now. So we were using them at the waste sorting area when we started sorting in June and through the rest of the summer. And we would have them, the warehouse could grab them if they needed to use them as well. And then we started in the Patriots season at the beginning of the season in September, deploying all of these bins to each concession stand, each sweet pantry, any kitchen area that you could think of, so that they could have the option if it was going to the food grinder or into the compost bin. So really deploying all over campus. We have over 60 locations that these bins go to on any full stadium event day. And in 2025, we had over 95,000 pounds that we were able to compost through the compost program, just with the bins. And then shifting over to food donations, we've really made this a program, I'd say, this year in 2025. We've done food donations here and there over the years. We had done a bigger donation with a sponsor back in 2024. And then coming out of that, really realized, like, we want to make this a permanent thing. So our food and beverage is internal. So we coordinated with culinary catering, F&B, the warehouse, got our food safety folks involved as well, and really ironed out between the end of last season and a couple months after that, what are the requirements, all the specifics to really set this program up for success. So we decided to target premium spaces, all the prepared cold foods that were prepared there, any leftover bread that might make its way back to the warehouse that we could donate, box lunches. Usually those are used for employee meals. And then at the end of the season, we were able to pilot donating food from concession stands as well. So we've really made a lot of progress here. We were really excited to share that we had over 30,000 pounds of food that we were able to donate in 2025. And that was just since the end of June. We kind of launched the program, if you will, and have started scaling it up from there. And excited to see how we can continue to curtail the program in the future. And shifting over to the third down here, the hard to recycle items. No, like, there's kind of a catch-all term, but here's some examples of what we mean when we refer to those items. So in 2025, we had some of these programs in place. We already had battery recycling, e-waste recycling, but we were trying to get more granular about what other items we could separate out to make sure that they could be recycled and upcycled by different vendors and recycling facilities. So in terms of donations, often there might be random things such as old chairs, old TVs. We had old milk crates that we were looking to donate. So we try to coordinate with our community relations team and other organizations that might be able to use those items that we no longer need on campus. And then in terms of recycling and upcycling, batteries, you can see on the screen here an example of a sticker that we have around campus, where we have collection zones for different types of batteries for the staff to drop in, broken pallets. We go through a lot of broken pallets, all different types of e-waste. Ink cartridges is a big one. We have a lot of offices on campus, so we go through a lot of ink, plastic wrap, scrap metal, styrofoam, textiles, anything from an old towel to an old blanket to an old uniform, whatever it might be there. And then we also are looking into special projects such as turf recycling, making sure when the field is pulled out, heading into FIFA and then back into the next field, that everything is being recycled and upcycled as much as possible. And one thing I wanted to point out here is that it really takes all departments when it comes to hard to recycle items, coordinating with AV and broadcast, IT, operations, facilities, to really figure out what all these hard to recycle items are and then who to talk to coordinate all the pickups and logistics. So it really is a team effort here. And then looking sort of ahead to the fourth down, procurement. We've started addressing this in 2025, but it's really one of our big projects for 2026, I would say, especially now that we've advanced with the first, second, and third downs, with really looking at diving into the waste sort, looking at what we have, seeing, what products we currently have and how we can, switch out to more compostable products, get more sustainable products, so that when it comes to F&B type products specifically, that we can increase our diversion rate and just make the sort more efficient. When you have more streamlined procurement, you can get through all of the sorting that much faster. So lots of coordination with our F&B purchasing and other departments as well, and talking with external organizations that can help us dive through our procurement data and see what makes most sense to shift from one product to another. And then here on the slide as well, we just have the waste management hierarchy from EPA, which just kind of shows, kind of summarizes the other slides as well, looking at like source reduction, reuse, recycling, and compost, kind of relates to the compost and food donations, and our waste sorting overall, so that we can have as much, we can decrease we can send as much to the landfill, less to the landfill as possible, and be able to upcycle and recycle as much as we can there. Awesome. And then quickly, just some lessons learned from this past year, and these kind of 1, 2, 3, and fourth downs. Three pieces of lessons learned, especially with the food donations and the compost bins, I think are good examples. First, I would say start small and kind of scale it up once you have a good sense of the current operations, even if it is, a couple compost bins, whatever it might be to start. Get a sense of that, get a good game plan there, and then scale it up little by little from there. Don't bite off more than you can chew right at first. Number two, I would say logistics and communications. Big example of that would be the waste sorting. I sent out an email to a huge group of people basically before every single sort, just to get them thinking about it and making sure everybody was on the same page and there wasn't any roadblocks when it came to the actual event day. And then number three, connect everybody into the program. I think this ties into the hard to recycle items the most. It really takes everybody, not just the sustainability department, to put a lot of these programs into place. So thank you.
Thanks, Dena. Thanks, Christy. Well, if the two of you can see the chat and the Q&A box, there's quite a few questions. Um, I think one of the overarching themes in a lot of these are questions about finances. Have you Can you explain any ROI with your initiatives? And I think a good question is how, before you start the sustainability initiative, how do you present it to leadership? If either of you want to take that.
Dina, you want to go?
Yeah, I can get us started. I think the ROI, I'd say, um, in the waste side of things, I'm kind of like working through some of that right now, trying to show, because a lot of it is related to cost savings, like Christy was mentioning, like the waste hauling savings, things like that. So we're kind of going through that exercise now, to kind of show all of the impact that the waste sorting has had to date. But for example, I don't have a specific number, cost number, but since we've been waste sorting, we haven't, before waste sorting, we would have a live load truck at the loading dock collecting trash. And in addition to our trash compactor, and since we've been sorting, we haven't needed that truck there. So that saves on the cost of having that, staff or multiple staff members there loading the truck and then paying for the truck itself for those couple hours. Just one quick example, but kind of going through the exercise now of showing all of that math out like Christy was able to go through to build that case and show the impact that we've had so far.
And I think that that's the pieces building on each other, and working through this, because I had, when we made the switch to Copia from Aramark, on paper, it was going to cost us more money. I had to use the fact that I knew we were going to get more efficient to make my case and say, yes, on paper, it will cost more, but here are the savings. And I think our bigger savings is going to come from X. Some of that was built from having built that I make thoughtful choices and programming. So part of that came from that. Part of it was being able to look at other places that have done similar things and show that. And then being able to go back after a year and really show it, and then be able to share that information, because Dena is probably exactly a year behind me in making some choices, and be able to share with her, hey, here's the savings. Now she can share that. I can share it. I'm sharing it now on a call with all of these folks, that as you do these things, there are cost savings. I saw another question about any net revenue. To this point, we have not had any programs with net revenue. That is what I'm hoping for with our on-site recycling separation. Because we all know that revenue drives. So we have not yet had that. I think the other piece to this that is hard is a lot of sustainability. Sustainability is profitable. It's just harder to show to someone who doesn't work in this world, and translating that into terminology and or numbers that make sense is art that I have not learned. I'm working on learning to make the case, but it is also operational efficiencies, and operational efficiencies usually will come with cost savings. And so operational savings or operational efficiencies are easier to explain through and show. I saw another question about scaling, and I think within operations, sometimes it's going to, I've seen sustainability start two ways in sports and entertainment. It's either you have owner or someone on top that is very passionate about it, and it comes top down, or you have somebody that's in operations that's passionate about it and it starts bottom up. And sometimes it might be somebody in the middle, but it's that consistent voice. And with the speed at which our business works, it has to be efficient. We can't throw in things that are going to slow down the wheel. Waste sorting is one of those. And we had one of those where we had to think outside of the box, and we had to do it differently. And sometimes you just do. We normally sort through the game and then are done a day and a half after sorting. With our NFC championship this 2 weekends ago, we broadcast triples in size, which totally takes away our waste sorting space. And on top of that, we had to wipe half of our building and have it ready by 6 a.m. the next morning for boats to show up. So we had no way to do our waste sorting. So we had to change, we had to pivot. So we just put all of the waste in their bags in our open tops and sorted post. It was not as efficient, but we were able to do it. Whereas 3 years ago, what would have happened in our building is all of that would have gone to landfill. And so by having forethought and just a different way to do it, we were able to keep all of that from going to landfill. So it's thinking on our feet, changing the way we do things, and making it fit the operations, not fit what we want to do.
So kind of like what Christy and Dina are saying, in the sports industry, it's not a one size fits all. These are both NFL stadiums. If you are an operator at an NBA, NHL, MLB, it will look different, but even NFL, we're comparing apples to apples, but it's still very different based off of their situations. So, uh, like Christy was saying, if you want to come speak to a venue operator, the Green Sports Alliance Summit is a great place to meet folks, and you can just take, little tidbits and see what you can take back with you. Um, Oftentimes when people discover the Green Sports Alliance, the biggest thing I think comes into people's heads are fans. How do we engage our fans? The We want this message of sustainability or how to take better care of the environment to be able to reach the fans. It's a huge audience, more than politics in some ways. So there's a question here about do do either of you get fan feedback on your initiatives? I know it's very challenging, but have you had any success stories in that area?
Yeah, I can start us off. I would say we like to some degree we've been able to get some feedback during the games around like Earth Day and Green Sports Day. We often do a table in the fan zone, we call it, the kind of the plaza where different sponsors will activate as well. So as folks are heading into the stadium, they can stop by the sustainability table and learn some more and maybe enter for a prize or something. So we've been able to interact with range of fans. Some people that aren't familiar with sustainability, and some people that are, and they're like, "Oh, this is amazing that the stadium is doing all these initiatives." So that's been a cool way to talk directly with folks and and hear their feedback or potential suggestions right there live. And then the other thing I was going to mention was NFL has been incorporating sustainability into the voice of the fan surveys a little bit. So we've been able to get some feedback from there and also see it as like a league level too.
I was going to mention the voice of the fan as well, seeing and it's just very general questions to kind of gauge where fans are and what they think about sustainability. We also found a lot of engagement with our green game and just them stopping and talking to our guests about sustainability, which then triggered that, oh wait, there's sustainability programs here at the stadium, and running some different initiatives throughout the season to get that message out to our fans. So
Thank you. I think there's a lot of questions in here. Another overarching theme is about sponsorship in sustainability. Um, another dollar sign question, but do you have any sustainability sponsors? What's the conversation like when you're trying to get sponsors to fund some initiatives? If either of you have examples of that.
I'd say sometimes a sponsor will come to us with a sustainability initiative that they are interested and passionate about, and sometimes will have something that the stadium is already working on, and maybe there's a current or potential sponsor that might be interested in being part of it. For example, that food donation program, the first big one that we did back in December 2024, that was a sponsor that wanted to do that day, that game, food donation. Operations and culinary and catering got on it, made it happen, and then we realized, we can make this a bigger thing. So just one example, but I'd say it kind of goes both ways.
yeah, to Dina's point, sometimes a sponsor can drive an initiative that we really would love to see happen. We this year we did a Find the Greenest Fan kind of interactive event with online to find our greenest fan that Coke sponsored. It was something that I had been looking at wanting to do, kind of engage our fans. They did green activities and got points for it and to win prizes. And Coke brought it to us and wanted to do it, and which then brought it to life. We do have a handful of sustainability specific sponsors that have come on board within this last 2 years. There are Drive to Zero or Play to Zero sponsors, and they can be found on our sustainability page, and they are engaged in part of our True Zero and our Drive to Zero programs. Um, and then often a lot of our bigger sponsors have sustainability initiatives that are unique to them that they would like to partner with. And our sponsorship team will reach out and we find synergies because you don't want it to be that's the unique line, right? You don't want it to be forced. You want it to be very authentic and unique to what you're doing. And so finding those synergies is very important within the sponsorship areas.
Thank you. Okay, there's like a few small questions in here that I think we could just answer quickly. What do you do with your old synthetic turf when you replace it? Oftentimes it will be donated to a school. Kids always need new grass, new synthetic turf. But Christy, Dena, do you have a different example?
So our turf supplier works with us, and they work to ensure that all of it is reused or recycled to the best of the ability. So the in between the infill and the actual inlay.
Same. And then we're also
Yeah.
looking at our team has potential like products that they like upcycled products that can come from parts of the turf. So whether it be like benches or like picnic tables, things like that. So we're investigating that as well.
Awesome.
We've in the
Um,
past made souvenir items as well, like
Mm,
frames of pieces of grass, because fans love that kind of stuff.
yeah.
yeah, that's cool. How about this question about shrink wrap?
Yep. Right now, it's we just have like these big kind of pallet-sized bins that we um, give to our food and beverage warehouse, and they put any shrink wrap because they're the main producer, I'd say, of shrink wrap because they receive all the pallets with all the food and beverage items on it, and so they just take the shrink wrap, put it in there, and then we organize them all, and then a company that's able to recycle that. Not a lot of companies are, but we found one that is able to recycle it, comes and picks it up, and then they bring it to their facility to be properly recycled. So yeah, opportunity to scale it up in the future, but that's kind of as we didn't really know what the quantity was exactly, the volume of shrink wrap. That's the other thing too. It takes up so much space that we just kind of started small with collecting it essentially in pallets and then I'm having it shipped out.
Awesome. Do either of you see any questions in here that you want answered or that you have answers
I
for?
was just going to jump. Somebody asked the difference between recycling compactor and recycling open top. That's from one of my slides. The difference is we have a compactor for both recycling and compost on site. However, on a game day, they don't have the capacity to hold everything. So for game days, we bring in open tops as well to take the excess. And we look at them differently in when we haul them off just to know how much weight should be in them. So that's the difference.
So a compactor is just smaller.
The compactor is actually probably the same size-ish, but it can take more weight. So if my compactor is leaving with the same weight as an open top, we probably have a problem because it should have more weight because it's getting smashed together, and should have more weight in it. So that's really what I'm when we're looking at the two. But that's really the only difference.
Gotcha. Um, there's a question here about rebates. It says, beyond the corrugated cardboard, what other rebates do you hope to receive by separating your recycling to be sold? Is that something that you guys do?
It's what we're looking into. So both for the aluminum and the plastic is if we can get it in its pure, like completely separated on site, and with bundling it, we should have a value to it. So because it's not going to a MRF and having to be done there.
Let's see. Have you looked into reusable bags for the double pick? That's interesting. I've never even thought about that.
Oh, um, not that I know of, but that's a cool thought. That could be something.
Not reusable. We have been looking at compostable and or looking for very similar to the plastic wrap. There are recyclers out there that do um, very hard to recycle or very unique recycling type projects, because the problem is once you put the food in it, it's dirty and a lot of places. So we're looking at several different options, because when we dug into now this year, now that we've had sorting and all of that, I, I'm speculating that 30 to 50% of our landfill is our bags from throughout the building. So that's a pretty significant amount.
Mhm.
And so if we can find a solution to that, that also will then increase our diversion rate. So it's it is an issue. If there is some really cool reusable bag out there, but right now in our picks, we use a compostable bag for compost, so it comes down and goes straight into the compost bin and doesn't get touched again. So
And do both of you have, is it a three stream bins? Do you have those in your tailgate as well? Or what are your tailgate operations for waste?
we don't have tailgate. We're right in the middle of the city, and we have a very small parking lot and a garage. So we don't really manage any space that has tailgate. We only
Mhm.
have two streams on site. We have recycling and all other waste.
Mm,
Uh, we just found that having a landfill bin with only like two items that need to go in landfill just is more confusing than having all other waste. And
mm,
then we designed our recycle bin so you can only put cans and bottles in it. So it helps that we don't have to sort that stream.
mhm.
Currently, when we start separating bottles and cans, we will have to sort it, but
And then for us right now, we have two streams, fan facing in the stadium, trash and recycle. So all of the composting happens either back of house in the concession stands, the kitchens, or at the waste sorting area. And then we do have a lot of parking lots. We're kind of in the suburbs over here. Currently, everything we just have trash barrels. It's a big logistics. Uh, Adventure to figure out how to get recycling into all the spaces. We've done a couple pilots, um, and yeah, that's definitely a project to look into going forward more.
Yeah, it's hard to tackle. A good example is the Boulder, Colorado University. They tackle their tailgate very well. I know at least one of them will be at the summit. If you have questions about tailgating. Um, let's see. Are you requiring vendors to provide their own sustainability efforts to do business at the stadium? I don't know if that would really be up to operators. That's kind of a leadership question, but like folks may have a standard that they want vendors to meet in terms of sustainability before they bring them in. That's kind of what I've heard about vendor selection.
we do have a sustainability uh section in any of our RFPs about both on the waste side as well as other parts of sustainability. So it is part of what we look at in bringing a vendor on, and it does get a weighted portion of the consideration.
Gotcha. Um, yeah, I was just thinking if you, I mean, Dina is in on the East Coast, and Chrissy's on the West Coast. Both of the coasts kind of have more laws in place when it comes to waste sorting. In some parts of the country, there is only one bin. If you are an operator that lives in a part of the country that does that. There are stadiums that will promote to leave your trash at your seat. So leave your trash at your seat. That gives the staff the ability to sort as they do the bowl pick instead of having to sort through bins. So that's a big option. If you have questions about that, I know several stadiums that are doing it, and we can direct you to talk to those folks about their operations too. All right. If any of you do either of you see any more questions on here that you want to tackle?
I saw one about how do you ensure that sustainability isn't just tacked on as an off afterthought and really is incorporated into the operations of the venue. I'd say a big one for us is we went through the ISO 2012-1 Sustainable Event Management certification, and as part of that process, we were able to really sit down with the team and identify, what pillars, Christy had mentioned they're like kind of two pillars that they're focused on. And we've developed six that we really want to tackle as a sustainability program. And it really creates a framework or a vision for this is what we want to do this year, this event season, and then being able to like report back on that. So, for example, we want to have, say, it's 10 fan touch points as under our community engagement pillar. And we can track that and report back on that and see, this is what we did last year. Maybe we can improve this activation by doing X, whatever it might be. So that's been a super helpful tool, I'd say, at least for me, being able to have that certification to keep us accountable and have that framework of this is our policy, these are our pillars, this is what we want to address going forward.
Beautiful. Okay, I put my email in the chat. If you don't know the Green Sports Alliance, we're a membership-driven organization where our goal is really to just connect all of the folks in this world. So whether you're a sports entity or you work in the sustainability space with a product, service, or technology, we're here to make those connections. We're here to answer your questions. So feel free to email me. If you have questions for our panelists, I can go ahead and ask them for you. Thank you so much for all of your questions. This has been a very interactive webinar. Yes, the webinars will be online, posted afterwards. You'll get a follow-up email in a couple of days that will direct you to our website where it will be posted. You can also find all these on YouTube as well. Thank you so much, Christy and Dena. Always a pleasure, and best of luck on Sunday.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.